I hit the button. So we should be going live. And give a few minutes for everybody to hop on. But
Yeah, I see us. It's
Perfect.
live on YouTube.
All right. So this is the UK joint with Foothills Kayak Anglers April monthly for Lake Wylie, and we
Yep.
have Foothills representative Cody here to kind of help us through all this stuff. We usually start out with introductions. My name is Justin from Fowler and Friends on YouTube. I fish a few tournaments here and there, and then do the YouTube thing. So, Cody, if you want to give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, most of you guys probably know who I am. I'm the guy who holds the money over at the Foothills Club. I guess you could call me the director, but I like to refer to myself as the dude who's I'm just the guy who holds the money.
There you go.
But so I'll give you a little background on this event. So in 2023, I got in touch, or Cameron got in touch with me, the director of Upstate Kayak Anglers, and we decided to do a joint event together. And the first year in 2023, we done the event together on Mountain Island Lake and Lake Wylie. And that event, we had 72 anglers show up for that event. And still today, that's probably our largest event that we've ever had. That was in 2023. And then in last year, Cameron and CJ from South Carolina Bass, we all got together and we had another event in June, and it was Lake Wylie to Watery. So it was kind of the bottom end of the Catawba chain there. And I think we had 72 for that event too. I'm pretty sure that's what we had. We paid 7 spots, so I know we at least had 70 for that event. So really, this is one of the larger events that Foothills puts on every year. I think right now there's 21 or 22 people signed up, and for this coming weekend, first 2 events of Foothills season. I think event 1 in February we had 44 anglers, and last month, the end of March, we had 50 anglers come out and fish on Lake Norman. So add the 20 or so UKA anglers that are regulars, we should be close to that 70 angler number again, I'm hoping, for this weekend. And Foothills is a 3 fish limit club, a little different than, some couple clubs are 5 fish. One club, Queen City, there, a 4 fish limit. But we're sort of a entry-level club is kind of what we think of ourselves as, similar to UKA, and we do a 3 fish limit. So it makes it interesting. It's a 10-inch minimum. So, pretty much any bass you catch will qualify to be able to be put on the board and scored. And we have some tournaments where there's some skunks, but most of the time people were able to catch 3 fish and slap them down on the board. Justin, we were talking a little bit before. I was thinking about some of the questions that I fielded this week. Had an individual who didn't have a catch board and just happened to read into the rules that was required measuring device in the Foothills tournaments. And he said he didn't have a catch board, so he wasn't able to fish. But I was glad he seen that before he paid his money and came out and fished Saturday. And then he had the hog trough board, and none of his fish would have been scored. But so it's catch board only, 3 fish limit. You can pinch the tail in our tournaments too. As far as hand placement, if you pinch the tail, I just ask that you do it with your fingers. Try not to cover the whole back end of the fish's tail.
Yeah.
But you can pinch the tail. A little different from, like bass rules and stuff. But, sometimes you can get that tail to touch that next 1/4 inch mark by pinching it. We do allow that. We do allow a panfish clip, which is the metal fish clip. If you ever see a stringer like at Walmart, it's a metal stringer, and it's the metal fish clip, not like a cull tag like you would have in a boat. You want to still be able to get your fish's mouth closed, but we do allow a pan fish clip in our pictures. The kind of the way I do it is I clip that fish on the backside against the board, and you can't even really see the fish clip, and you can still get the fish's mouth closed completely with that metal clip in its mouth. And then when that dude tries to fly off the board, you won't lose him. That's sort of the benefits of being able to use the fish clip, but just another entry level friendly thing that we do. Trying to think of anything else. Any other questions? We do have. I'm gonna try to pull this up.
When you're pulling that up, Ryan Thompson in our group asked if they won't need a membership or anything, correct? They've never fished.
No membership. I do have, like, what I've been doing this year is trying to incentivize people to sign up for the membership through Foothills, and Purple Heart Homes and Real Heroes helped us out this year. And what I had done was add a $10 non-member fee for anybody who fished with the club that wasn't a member, and then we donated that $10 directly back to Real Heroes and Purple Heart Homes. Okay. But I've waived that for this event. So, and I Ryan the other day was asking about it, and I removed that from Tourney X where you signed up. So that'll not be. I'm not going to make you guys pay that. But
but if somebody wanted to donate to either one of those causes, they could just message you and Facebook or something. And
it's actually there's a box you can check on Tourney X. There's like a $2 donation. I think I got a $2, $5, and a $10 donation. But and it's they helped us out this year by giving us a little bit of petty cash and giving us an item to give away later in the year. And like I said, it's just a way for me to kind of incentivize. And I think it's worked. I mean, if there's a dude out there who thinks, oh man, I'm only going to be able to fish 3, well, that's $30 in that non-member fee when you could just pay the $50 and become a member and, have incentives for the, we have like an out of the money prize after every event for members only. And then we do some raffles, after each event for members. And then we take that member money, just kind of like UKA does. We take that membership money, and that creates the pot for the championship at the end of the year. So it's all. Are
you guys going to have a gathering at the?
We will not have a gathering after this event. I mean, it's just for me personally. I'm ready to get home after I get done fishing. But we have a couple throughout the year.
Okay.
But not for this one. We actually haven't had a meetup after any of our events this year. I usually just do a virtual weigh-in. Or I'll just post who won and the payouts and then pay those guys out. Okay. We'll pay out before midnight. Give a little bit of time for a protest, if there's something that comes up, somebody sees something that I missed on the fish pictures. So tournament night, I usually send the payouts out about 11 o'clock or something.
Okay.
To Justin, I'm your judge, and I'm fishing too. So when we're out on the water, if anybody has any questions, or if something comes up, having trouble with the app or something, just message me. But your fish won't be being judged, until after the tournament's over.
Okay.
And I'll give individuals the opportunity to send me if I have a problem with a fish picture or something, I'll reach out and we'll try to correct it all. But that's how I've been doing it for the past, this year anyway. In years past, I'd paid somebody to kind of help me judge, but then we had some issues with fish weren't quite being judged like I thought they should be, so we just done away with that, and I'll be judging your fish after the tournament after I get home. So
Okay. Yeah, and there's
hey, Michael.
Michael's here.
But yeah, so your legal ramp list is in the files tab. Hopefully most people, if you're watching the live stream, you know what we say when we're talking about the files tab. All the rules and all the ramps for Lake Wylie are under the files tab in the Foothills group page.
Okay.
And it's pretty much every boat ramp on Lake Wylie. The rules are, you can run through them. They're on Tourney X too. It's pretty standard stuff. The catch board's the big thing. Make sure you have the catch board. The ramp list is in the files tab. Ebenezer, I don't know how many of you guys get to fish Lake Wylie or how often, but Ebenezer boat ramp's been closed for about a year, and it's still closed. It's on the list, but it's closed.
Okay.
Doing some renovations. And there's a boat tournament coming out of South Point. It's a Bass Nation boat tournament, but the Bass Nation tournaments don't always do so well because of all the extra fees that they make boaters pay. I looked today and there's only 19 boats signed up. They have to sign up online, and they have till midnight tonight to sign up for that tournament. So I don't expect there to be, they'll be lucky if they have another boater sign up and they hit 20. So I expect less than 25 boats to be fishing that boat tournament coming out of South Point.
Okay.
But,
what's obviously safety is everybody's own responsibility, but we do have some weather coming through this weekend.
Yeah.
What's your guys' kind of like take on that?
Well, looking at my weather app, it does say 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. I don't think, as of last time I looked, I don't think there's supposed to be like storms or rain or anything.
Not something like that either on my end.
It's going to be hot.
Wait, let me see.
It'll be like 80s, but
Okay.
but as far as wind, just be careful out there.
It'll be pretty easy to get. Like Wylie is one of those lakes where there's tons of little pockets that you can get out of the wind, and this time of year that'll be great. You'll be able to find some spawners in the very, very backs of those little pockets.
Oh yeah,
but I'm sure there's a ton of post spawn fish too. So we'll see what's going to play.
Yeah, I was hoping Wylie would be a little further along. I haven't fished the lake this year, but I fished Norman last weekend, and it was kind of seemed like it was in that transition period. You weren't seeing a whole lot of fish on beds, and there wasn't a whole lot of fish feeding up. But once they start moving post spawn, their fish are going to be chewing again. Justin said that he's seen water at Lake Hartwell that was in the 60s, and that's what I seen on Lake Norman last weekend. Was low 60s in the morning, mid 60s throughout the day. So water temps are still in that range for happy fish. Not bathwater yet.
Yeah, you're gonna catch them doing a lot of different things. Definitely, I feel like. But it sounds like at Norman, they were the state championship. They were all the guys that did really well were fishing on points.
Yeah.
So that might be a that might be a big factor on Wylie.
Oh yeah.
It's a big factor on Hartwell. Every point had 2 boats on it today.
Yeah, that's the one thing too. And like he said, thankfully it's a smaller tournament, so it's not going to be a ton of pressure. But just expect that, the chance that, you're going to, I found in the back of each pocket there's a couple spawners, and then you keep getting cut off. Just be prepared for that, and be able to make some adjustments if that's the case, because you're obviously not going to beat a Mercury 250 to a spot. They're going to get them for you. So
yeah. So tournament runtime, we do launch and lines in at the same time. All this is on Tourney X, but I thought I'd touch on it. And for this one, I set the tournament start time, so launch and lines in both at the same time. 8.5 hour tournament, and launch and lines in is at 6:45. And I know that's approaching daylight, but just for safety reasons, I mean, I thought I'd stick with that time. I create these tournaments, and then time moves on, especially this time of the year, and then daylight's 10 minutes, 15 minutes one way or the other. Create a tournament 3 months ago, but I just left it at 6:45. I know about 7 o'clock. I mean, it's daylight right now at 7, so 6:45. I mean, it's going to be right there, but have your light on if it's dark. Obviously, wear your PDF all day, unless you're taking a sweatshirt off or something, but keep that PDF on. And then lines out at 3:15, 59, 3:16, that fish won't count. If it's 3:15, and you get him on the board and get a picture, you're still good. But when the clock clicks over to 3:16, then that fish won't be scored. And Tourney X will make me aware of all that stuff. But like I said, 8.5 hour tournament.
How long do people have to submit till after 3:15?
You have an extra hour to submit, so 4:15. And then, like I said, people that are familiar with Tourney X know kind of how to do things. I mean, you can always manage your catch. If you pull that app open, there's a spot on there where you can manage your own catch. And all you have to do is swipe left, I think, and delete that fish, and that'll get it out of your live well or whatever. And then you can resubmit if you think, oh man, I submitted the one that was 16.25, but I know that I got a good picture with the 16.5. You can always go back and delete that picture and then upload another one. But 2, I'm going to be judging after the fact. You came in right after I got done saying that, but I'll be judging the tournament when I get back home. I'm about an hour away from Wylie, so I'll probably start judging fish about 5 o'clock. And the leaderboard goes off at 2. That don't mean hold your fish until 2 and sandbag everybody, but the leaderboard goes off at 2. And if there's an issue with a fish, you can upload to 4:15. But if there's an issue with your fish, I'll call you, I'll text you, and we'll try our best to correct it. And I always do that. Like people have a picture with an open mouth, even though submit time's over. Just as I want things to be legit. I want somebody to win that should have won. I'll call you, and we'll try to fix that fish if there's a problem. So just keep that in mind too. Say I judge fish at 5, takes me an hour and 15 minutes or something. So by 6 o'clock, 6:30, I'll cut the leaderboard back on, so you can kind of look for final standings around 6:30 on Saturday. And then, like I was saying too, I'll pay out before midnight. After the leaderboard comes back on, that'll be the protest period. There's always people looking at each other's fish. You'd be surprised, man. And it's usually the same handful of people who are like, "Hey, man, look at so and so's." But I appreciate that,
Yeah. I mean, it helps keep everybody honest.
It does.
Even if it's some small time rivalry going on.
Oh yeah. Well, it's usually the guy who came in fifth, and he's scrutinizing the dude who came in third's fish or something.
Yeah,
but it's all good.
I think with that being said, that you're going to judge later on in the day, guys, take lots of pictures.
Yeah, there you go.
Check your fish before you let it go. Like what I do, I always tell people to do this: get a big net. Make sure you have a big net. Put them in the net. Fold the net. Like put it over the side. Fold the net so the fish can't get out, but it's still in the water. Check out your pictures. All right, they're good. Then let your fish go. Because the last thing you want is catch a 20-incher, take a bad picture, throw them back, and then you look at it and that's it. It's done. So take lots of pictures. One of the things I do, I put them on the board. Click, 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 click. Put them back in the net. Check and see if I got a good picture. Because you never know. Like you might click a click and then they jump off the board.
Oh yeah.
Get your pictures. Put them in the net. Check. Get it back there. And then that's when you start like trying to get a little bit more out of them. Doing your little tricks. Foothills does not allow pinching the tails. I don't know is that correct?
Yeah, we do.
You do allow it. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make sure because I remember there was something about that last year. So
yep.
But you can have your hand by the tail, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we touched on it a little bit, but again, try to cover as least amount of the tail as possible. Like don't put your whole hand, try to use your fingers when you pinch that tail.
That makes sense. Yeah, because if you guys didn't know, there's been some cheaters that cut the fish at the tail and cover it so they can give it different lengths.
Yeah.
So that's why that rule exists.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's exactly why it exists.
And then here's a little tip for your picture management. In between each fish, take a random picture of the end of the kayak up on the bank. Mm-hmm. So that way when you're going through your camera feed, because you don't have enough fingers, hopefully you catch enough fish, you don't have enough fingers to do number 4, number 2, number 1.
Yeah.
I started out doing that, and then I quickly realized that wasn't going to work. So that was the kind of the system I adopted from watching some of the other guys that have been in the game for a while. You take a random picture in between each fish catch, whether it's the bank, the end of your kayak, just something that chops up the picture strings for each fish you caught.
Yeah. Yeah.
And favorite, like go back like before you submit it and look, because if you take 10 pictures, look at each one, zoom in. If the tail is just barely touching that line, it counts. Yeah. So go back, like zoom in, make sure the mouth is open, and then favorite that picture. And then when you go on Tourney X, you when it asks you to select photo, you'll see the little heart there, so it's easier. Because I didn't know that for the longest time, and it makes a huge difference because you click Tourney X and it asks you how long it is. You can't zoom in on your picture because you're just like doing all this trying to figure out, So just make sure you favorite those. It helps a whole lot, and then you can go back. All right, this one's 15.5. Then go pick the heart one, and yeah, Tourney X can be a little. There's some things about it that can be a little bit. That's the one that always frustrates me. I'm like, you cannot see how long this fish is.
Yeah, you can't zoom in on the picture after you upload it. Little browser section.
Another thing he touched on, Michael, that's good to probably mention for our group is catchboard only. No hog troughs. So that being said, if somebody needs to borrow one because I can't come to the tournament, hit me up in the either private message or in our group message, and we can work something out. I have one. So
yeah, the ID will be released. I think I have it set for 9:00 Friday night. So you'll be able to write your ID code down the night before instead of worry about doing that at 4 a.m. And sign up runs until 8:00. Sign up ends at 8:00 on Friday. So, and that just gives me time the way we're paying and stuff through the pool link. That gives me a little bit of time to go back and check and make sure everybody signed up through Tourney X and they sent the rest of their money to the pool link. So keep those things in mind. If you know anybody that's on the fence about fishing, tell them they got to 8:00 Friday to decide.
You get a lot of calls after 8.
Sometimes, yeah. There's a certain group that always like to sign up at like 11. I'm laying in the bed and I'm hearing the PayPal cha-ching come through. I'm like, you sorry, sucker. But I cut it off. That's the way it was in years past. Now they physically have to text me. So at least, but The 8 o'clock thing's been good. I was going to show something. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Can you guys see that?
You will in a second.
Okay. All right. I'm going to scroll on it. Everybody's done a great job. Most of my guys through the first 2 tournaments this year, we've kind of figured it out. But so when you sign up through Tourney X, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom. And normally this is a little bit of a different page because it's not in the app. But you scroll all the way to the bottom and it'll be down here. You click to sign up, a box, check a box, $2. So there's a $2 fee when you sign up through Tourney X. And I don't know if you can read that, but it says register like normal at the bottom here. The $2 registers you through Tourney X. And then this red here in the description, like I said, most of everybody's sort of figured it out. If you read the instructions here, it's pretty straightforward. But that pool link will take you directly to PayPal, and you'll just send the rest of your entry fee there. So, if you guys can help me. Other anglers, I'm sure, have answered a lot of questions, answering Buddy's questions, but you send the rest of your money to this pool link. And there's a video over on our Facebook group page. It's in the featured section, and it's me videotaping my phone, walking you through the process just so you can see exactly how it works. But yeah, that's the way we're signing up for this year. And it keeps Uncle Sam out of your pocket, man. At the end of the year, I don't have to worry about filing taxes, and I don't have to worry, and you don't have to worry about giving up your 15% of your tournament win.
No 1099s.
No 1099s. No, it's all done friends and family. I got lucky and found how to create that pool, and so far so good. I haven't had any trouble with it. So
that's awesome. Hey, I'd recommend people, if you haven't fished with Foothills, that's a pretty cool thing because when you're making some money fishing, they Uncle Sam he likes to dip his hands in there, and take a good chunk out of it. So if you're serious about the stuff and they have pretty good payouts. I've seen Foothills do some really solid payouts, and they fish on some great lakes. And I think Cody always does a great job. So check them out. Don't let this be your only one with the Foothills Club. I always have a good time when I fish with them. So
yeah, I wish we could come down a little further. We fished the Catawba Chang from Lake James. We might do something a little different next year. I might come all the way down to Watery and just fish all the lakes all the way down, and then that'll give us a couple events, closer to you guys in South Carolina.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, $50 entry fee total, and then the PayPal fee works out to 56 cents. And then you have the Tourney X fee, which it's high, but it is what it is. It's $6.50. So all that comes off the top of the $50, and then everything else is paid out. And I'll make a post and break all that down, like what all it is. I mean, exactly, so you know exactly what the club doesn't hold back anything. We do have. So this year I capped Big Bass at $150. So $5 from each entry fee goes to Big Bass until we hit 30 anglers, and 5 times 30, there's $150. So I capped Big Bass at $150, and that has enabled me to pay an extra spot. Like fifth place gets paid a little bit of money now versus being so heavily weighted. I usually try to keep first place around 10x, so around $500, $600, and then second place rolls down from there. But it's first place is not so heavily weighted, like where they're getting half the freaking money, which whatever. I understand people why other clubs do that, but we do it a little different. First place is not. It ends up being like 40% of the pot or 37.5% of the pot or something. So first 2 tournaments, first place is paid close to $600. and then rolled down from there. 600, 450 for second, 350 for third. It's a $50 entry fee, so it's not. We're going to have 80 anglers to have like $1,000 payout, but
right.
It's in that kind of sweet spot for beginners and entry level stuff. But like I said, I'll break all that down after all the tournament sign up ends, and I'll have all that up on the Facebook group page so you'll know exactly what we're fishing for and whatnot. But I can't think of anything else. You guys think of anything? Question one.
Ryan has one more question. He wants to know if you got to be a paid member for the team portion, or is it open as well? Yeah.
No, Ryan. The same way you sent your entry fee, you can send through that pool link. You can send your team side pot portion to that too, and then there's a post up on our Facebook group page right now, and it's staying up near the top because people keep commenting on it and stuff, and people are putting their name in and their teammate's name, and then some guys, they come up with some cool name for their team. But I think there's 5 teams signed up right now for the team side pot. $20 per team, winner take all. Your best 2 fish, and a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, the team side pots is won by people who didn't even cash a check. So it's just another way to get paid. You and your teammate can pay for your tournament entry fee, and it's always some of the same guys always team up, but it's just something fun to do.
Yeah, the team stuff is fun. I did that my first year when I fished with you guys when we did one of these events, and it was a cool experience. I kind of just like went with somebody random and kind of made a friend out of them and stuff. So I definitely recommend it. If you guys don't have someone, just it's $20. I mean, you guys put $15,000 into your kayak. You can pay $20 and fish with some random and have a good time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Lady Luck's a fickle woman, so you never know. Like you said, you could have big bass. Yeah, you can not have a limit, have big bass, and you and your teammate do well enough to get first place in that as well.
Yeah. So Alex Van Dyke and Landon, they won it last tournament in March, and neither one of them cashed a check otherwise, but they took home $200.
Nice.
$100 each. So
man, they made back their entry fee and a little cash.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's something cool to do. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. I can't think of anything else.
No, I mean, we covered the basics, like from your group chat and my group chat. The entry and the membership and stuff, like how to do all that was the biggest questions for some of these guys in our group. At least this is the first time using a fishing app, tournament app. So
yeah,
but Michael's been fielding most of those questions, Johnny on the spot. So
well, I'm looking forward to it. I was telling Justin and Michael, 2023, I think you fished with us then. It was Mountain Island and Lake Wylie.
Yeah.
Were together, and we had 72 anglers. I actually sent out like a little push notification from that list earlier in the week to remind some of those guys who fished that tournament that, hey, we're doing it again.
Yeah.
But 72 anglers. And then last year we partnered with UKA and South Carolina Bass, and we had right at 70 anglers too. So this is always one of the bigger Foothills events. Yeah. 72 in 2023. That's the biggest event we've ever put on, like number wise. So
wow, that's crazy. And it's still 3 fish.
Still 3 fish. Yep.
Hey, that's 3 fish is good. Like, especially, I'll say this: 3 fish is a limit where like you could just catch one really big one and a couple all right fish and have a shot. Like you can't really do that with a 4 or 5 fish limit. You got to have them all. But the thing I love about 3 fish limit is you really could just have like 2 15s and then like a 20 or 22, and you're kind of in the mix. So
and get you an 18-inch average or right there at it, and you got a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just doing the math in my head. So yeah, about 3 18s, you'd be right up there. You think about it, how many 20 inches you come across in a day. So 60 inches is probably top of the field.
Oh,
right
for
there.
sure.
So
that would be crazy. On Wylie, that'd be insane, dude.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Mike Barnes won the first year. I don't remember what he had, but it was like, I think 57, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've had some I think
they're in there.
Not on Wylie, but we had a 60-inch limit one time on Lake James, Jeremy Heath. And then last year on Kerr Scott, which is a little fishing hole up kind of up my way, up in the mountains, Caleb Davis put up like 61 1/4.
Wow.
He caught like a 22 and then like a 19 and a 20 or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
But
they're in there. Wylie's got some big ones. It's just hard to come by them. Like, you catch a lot of little ones, but once in a while you run into. I caught a 23 out of there last year. It's freaking stupid.
I remember. Yeah, last year in the SC Bass thing. Yep.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. And then I had to like be quiet. That was the worst part of it. There was like a couple guys around me, and I caught it, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I didn't make it sound, and that's not normally me. Like normally I'm just like, and I was like, "All right, you gotta be quiet. Don't let them see." But yeah, that was mad, man. I honestly didn't expect that to come out of Wylie, but they're in there, man. There's some real big fish. They're just, like I said, a lot of little ones, but when you can find some big ones in there too.
Well, I'm hoping the water will be clearer than it. Wylie can get pretty muddy if a lot of rain comes in, but it hasn't really rained in 10 days, 2 weeks or something, and it doesn't look like it's going to rain this week, so the water should be fairly clear. And judging by what Hartwell temps and Norman temps, I mean, it's got to be in the 60s still.
Yeah,
but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I came in 7th last year. One of the few times, maybe the only time I've ever cashed a check. And I think I made like $75. Was the last pay spot, but we fished it with SC Bass last year, and I done good, and it made me like the lake. I was like, yeah, we're gonna have an event there next year for sure, just on Wylie. I want to go back there, so I'm hoping it'll be good in April. Surely it will be. Surely there'll be all 3 phases still.
For sure.
Spawn.
I know you had some time constraints. Are you still good?
Yeah. I was looking at that. I guess I need to go. I actually I committed to another stream with some other guys, and when Mike texted me the other night, they texted me like last Tuesday or something and told me about it. And then Mike texted me last night, and I totally forgot. But this was more important to me than hopping on with those guys. They're still over there. They started at 8:00. I guess I'll jump off here and show my face over there.
All
right. Thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Hit me up if you need anything. Anybody who sees this stream later on, just holler at me on Messenger, or my actual phone number is on Tourney X too. So
okay,
just holler if y'all need anything. Appreciate you, Justin.
No problem. Glad I got through it.
Yeah.
Have a good night, man.
All right, brother.
All right, Michael. Do we want to go over kind of basic game plan? I know with fish in all 3 phases, you just do what you want. You just got to be
interesting. Yeah. So I won't be fishing this one, guys. But Wylie, I'm not spending a lot of time there in the spring. What I will say on a lot of lakes, just to keep this in mind, that, and I could be totally wrong about this. I've been not calling very good shots this year, but generally my experience has been that the upper sections of the lake generally take longer for the spawn to happen, like where like the water starts to come in. So like the closer you get to the river, the longer it takes for them to start spawning. So like on the lower end, you'll actually probably find more fish spawning in the very backs of pockets. I think that could be a really good pattern to find some bigger largemouth.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I was kind of talking about earlier, like just expect that like if you start finding them, the boats know the same thing. Like those boaters are gonna then just blow by you. They'll get to the pocket. They'll find the fish before you. They'll mess them before you get there. Sometimes fish are so locked on beds that like someone could catch it, and then you could go back there right behind them and catch it again. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
But like he said, they're gonna be in all three phases, guys. So, but I don't think there's gonna be a lot of pre-spawners. I really don't. I honestly, because after seeing a few of the recent tournaments, a lot of really skinny fish. Like like the bigger ones that I'm seeing, they're real skinny, so they're already spawned out. So I think I could be totally wrong again. A lot of them are going to be post-spawn, but post-spawn and pre-spawn fish generally will stay in the same exact areas. They're going to stage on points or on a brush pile coming into the back of a pocket or on a dock. Like they're staging in the same exact areas. So you might catch pre-spawn and post-spawns, but you could catch them in the same spots. Yeah. So keep that in mind too.
And here's an advantage to actually targeting the post spawns. Your boaters are by weight, not by length. So it almost behooves you to be a kayak angler and to target post spawners because you don't care if they still have the eggs in them and stuff. You just want a hungry fish, which post spawners are, and you want the length. You want the bigger ones. So those bigger females usually pull up earlier. They'll do their thing earlier, and then they pull out to feed up.
They're out of there.
So, in my opinion, like Doc here, I'm not going to be able to make this one either. There's only two of us that work the weekends, and my other counterparts already got this weekend off. But I would look for that post spawn pattern. And the other thing you got too is a lot of these boaters are kind of hooked on the forward facing sonar and jig and minnows. Yeah. Like my day here, I went to Hartwell today, and I took the wife out, and it was our first time in the boat, and there was 2 boats on every main lake point.
Yeah, that's how it is like that. Yeah,
I drove 10 miles I wanted to check 2 spots. I went out of River Forks, and then I drove up to Friendship on the lake, and every point had 2 boats on it, like coming towards each other. Like,
yeah,
it was. We did find a few fish shallow still on mid lake, main lake. Like Doc said, going in the back, wife caught a 3-pounder on a bed. Not in the very back of a pocket. It was that lake sets up a little bit different. And then the spots are chewing. Like for me and the wife today, just a wacky rig worm.
Yeah. On docks.
Not even docks.
Not even docks.
Yeah, just off the little bit sharper of a bank where the watercolor changes from light to dark. Fishing that light
color line.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not so much the dirtiness of the water when we say that color line. Yeah. It's just where the light penetrates all the way to the bottom and then doesn't. And it's like a dark line.
You'll see it. Yeah. Especially when the water's clear, you can see it, and they'll sit right. It's weird, especially this time of year. I like that. Yeah. They'll sit like right there, dude. And if you go like towards the back of the pockets, there will be fish that'll spawn right on the color line, and nobody can see them unless they have forward-facing sonar to use perspective mode. But you can just kind of throw right on the edge of that and drag, and sometimes you get some fish doing that.
Yep.
Especially if you go in like a little pocket and it's shaded. It's crazy, man. I've hooked some nice fish doing that, but you'll find like a really small pocket. The whole thing is shady, and then they'll sit right in the dead center of it, and you just kind of drag a worm around there. But guys, the docks they're gonna be good. You can go around and skip docks, and you might have one hell of a day out there. I think that if you really want to catch a big one, you got to put a jig on. Like we're going to get way more bites, and you still catch big ones on shaky head, whack worm. But if you need a big one, I would put a 1/2 ounce jig on, depending on the watercolor, probably green pumpkin, and just skip it under the dock and cover as many docks as you can. And eventually, if you run into a big one that wants to bite, that's my opinion, the best way to get a really big bite on lakes that have a lot of docks. Because surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't have the confidence to do that. So everyone's throwing a shaky head, everyone's throwing a wacky worm, and people, they just forget about how good the jig is. Yep. And that's a good way. You want to catch 20, 21, maybe bigger. I think, a jig is the move, especially this time of year. They're post-spawn, they're hungry, they want a bigger meal.
Yep.
That finesse stuff's going to be good too, though. And it's going to be sunny day, so really expect that those docks could be good. Just which docks are going to be good. They might be the main lake docks. It might be the docks in the back of pockets. It really just depends on the day. Don't guess, just fish, and let the fish tell you a message. You got to decipher it.
And that's kind of the nice thing with a lake like Wylie that's got a lot of little fish in it. Go out there with your confidence bait, put 3 on the board, have a solid limit to start, but then I highly, like Michael said, pick up a jig, give it an hour, give it 2 hours. You got 8 hours. It's probably one of the longer tournaments because I don't think UKA goes 8 hours, right? It's usually 6.
No, 6 hours, yeah.
Yeah, so you got 2 extra hours today or this weekend to play with, and you're going to have bluebird skies too and sunny. So hit those shade lines under docks. Now the furthest back you can. You have an advantage as a kayak. You can get into more places. I don't know if Wylie's cabled up like Hartwell is.
There are some spots. Yeah, there are some spots like that. Yeah.
Seems like a popular dock anchoring
method
here.
But more posts there. I think more posts. Yeah. Hartwell's Hartwell is a cable. It's those docks.
I know. I caught a lot of cables today, not a lot of fish. That's for darn sure.
Make me so mad.
But go out there, and you got shad spawn to start thinking about. Probably not this weekend. Probably towards the next full moon. But you find bait in a pocket. They're staging there too. Like that's what they're going to get ready to do. And your big fish aren't going to be far away.
No, they're not going to.
So,
it is top water season, baby. When it's in the 60s, you can get them on that top water, man. And but sometimes you can't. And it sucks.
I threw a white chopo for the first hour and a half this morning. I wasn't going to put it down. I was trying to force that bite. And what's crazy is I ended up with a 2-pound spot, just destroyed a 6-inch call sad. Had the whole thing in his mouth.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
So
that might not be a bad thing to do either. Skip like a mag draft or a call shad under docks. I've actually never caught a fish doing that, but I've had so many people tell me that it works really good. And obviously, I've seen millions of freaking videos. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos of people just catching tanks under docks doing that. Yeah. I probably need to put one in my hand more often, but it just seems like I have had some really big ones at Kiwi follow it. Like I had a tournament there in November, and I was skipping it under docks. And dude, I had so many 5-pounders. It's like, and then they just turn away. Like, but I was like, oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. They'll follow it, but it's hard to get them to commit.
Yeah, you gotta go back to tactical bassing and throw in some real twitches. That's been for the bigger swim baits. Yeah, because you'll throw it up there where you want it, and then you'll start your slow roll, and you're kind of coming down the thing, and then just do a quick, and your swim bait will dart, and then you just go back to your normal slow roll, and then double, and then back to your slow roll, and then one, and then back to your slow roll, and if you got the right setup, you can bomb a 6-inch call shad.
Does the call shad blow out pretty easy? Because the mag draft, you do a real twitch, it turns over.
No, that's the other key to it though is finding mag drafts are that one speed.
Yeah, you can't
hangover is one speed.
Yeah,
but you get into the bigger like the call shad, and then there's whatever they said the call shad was a knockoff of. It was an older bait. I don't quite remember. But those ones you can add in a quick reel twitch on them, and it'll pop it up, and it'll either a little bit left or a little bit right, but your head shimmy and your tail stay straight.
Okay.
So it doesn't roll on its side.
to go buy me some freaking cull shads, but every time I go, the albino pearl shad is always sold out. So that tells you anything.
So I didn't go with that color. I went with a one with more blue in it because we have blueback herring.
Okay.
Down here, especially
I
like
got one that's like bluegill colored. I don't know what it's called, but it's like it looks more like bluegill. So I'm like, yeah, they're a natural color. I like I said, I've never really had luck with those bigger swim baits. Just to have them follow it, and I have more luck with the glide bait.
Yeah, see, and I'm still working on that. So I got the 9-inch draw. It's the floater. So I got to buy some lead wire so I can get it to slow sink. But
and sometimes even just putting bigger hooks on those will make them suspend.
Make them slow sink.
I've had that happen before. Okay. I don't know what hooks those come with, but some glide baits come with pretty small stock hooks, and put some bigger ones on there, it'll start sinking a little bit. But dude, if you want to get good at glide bait fishing, go to freaking Tugaloo or Yona. Those lakes, that's the place to do it, man. That's
what I bought the 9-inch draw for.
Especially Tugaloo, dude. However you say it, that lake is pretty awesome, man. You got to have the right conditions. If it's freaking bluebird skies, no wind, you're not getting no bites on it. I mean, maybe, but I just don't. That's not my experience. It's very limited when the weather is like that. I like it little clouds and a slight breeze at least, and they'll start chewing that thing, dude. That place is. You got to go there, man. It's free, and it's low, not a lot of pressure there. So, but giants. If you know Gary Lavery, I don't know if I say his last name right, but he went there pre-fish last year before our event. He caught 2 22s. 2. That's stupid, man. Yeah. So that's what that lake is special, man. So you want to glide bait fish? Here we are talking about a different lake.
Well, see, that's the reason why we get. So this is the time of year to build confidence in baits you don't have confidence in. You got a ton of fish shallow. You know where they are, and you just go and you figure out the little nuances to those baits, like the difference between the cull shad and the mag draft, and because I've thrown some mag drafts and you can't get the real twitches in. It's just a one steady speed. It turns over. Same thing with the hangover. So what I find is I like those ones in colder water. If you already got to slow roll it, that's when I'll use it, because some of those big females never even leave those docks. Everybody thinks they all go out deep. Not every one of them does. Most of them stay there. So, like this is this time of year is where I got my confidence in the A rig leading up to this time of year. Kind of.
Yes, you got a freaking giant at Robinson.
Yeah, but the bite dies off on the A rig. But if you're going back out, like if you don't have forward and you're going back out for posters, you could throw the A rig again.
Oh yeah,
and they're feeding up, so they're looking for those bait balls anyways. Or you could throw
A rig all year, dude.
Yeah, you can throw a series of smaller swim baits, anywhere from 2.5 all the way up to 6-8 inches, whatever you're comfortable with. But this is the time of year I dial in new techniques, and then like I learned the jig last year. This is the time of year I threw the jig a lot, and I figured out the little nuances with it. And I'm better with it a little bit later in the season after the spawn, when the fish kind of move out and roam on flats, fan casting it. I've really kind of got that type of bite dialed in with it. But
just getting a bite on something can really make a difference, like in your confidence, like, okay, I can get a bite on this. Because like if you have a lure in your hand that you've never caught a fish on, it's really hard to keep it in your hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because like I'll say this, like a jig, dude. You're not gonna get a lot of bites. You're not.
But they're usually above average.
A lot of times they're a real big one. And I've had days where I'll skip 20, 30 docks before I get a bite. And I get a bite, it's a 20. Like, so is that going to happen every single time? No. Only big ones bite? No. I've caught little ones. But like last year I had a phenomenal season. Like I was blessed to have that. And the majority of the money I won was on a jig.
Yeah, it still is. No matter what level of fishing you're in, the jig is the number one paying out.
You got to throw a jig, dude.
Yeah.
It is,
In
but
a
it's
way,
hard to get confidence in it because it's not something you get a bunch of bites on all the time. Like you're gonna go and like make 100 casts and be like, this lure sucks. They're not gonna bite it, and then you make 101 casts and you have a freaking 5-pounder. You know, like it can be like that sometimes, and that's that's the importance of just getting a bite on something. And like he said, like this time of year, try crazy stuff, guys. I think any time of year you should do that, but the springtime especially, because really they're all up, a bunch of them are shallow, ones that aren't going to be shallow later in the year, and also they haven't all been caught 9 million times yet, yet. I mean, they're getting there, so they're a lot easier to catch. So you can try something crazy, and you might surprise yourself, and then later in the year, when you want to try that, you have a little confidence on it, so you'll throw it for a little bit longer. Like, I know I can get a bite on this. I know I can get a bite on this. Like, depending on the conditions, of course. Always, guys, remember the conditions are so important. You're not gonna catch anything on you might catch something, but you're most likely not gonna catch nothing on a spinner bait when it's slick, calm, it's bright and sunny. You're not gonna get many bites doing that.
No.
So you have to read. You obviously have to read how it's going. Like, you'll catch fish doing that, but it's just not the best.
Same thing with a jerk bait. You need a little ripple on the water for a jerk bait to work.
Those freaking live scope guys, dude. I don't know how they figure out how to get bites no matter what the conditions on a jerk bait. It is.
Well, they're fishing them, so you got to think too. A lot of those guys, if you're paying attention to those videos, they're weighting the hooks and they're fishing them deeper. Like they're doing the +1s, +2s, and they're making them in different lengths now with the bigger bills because they're starting to get enough pressure on them with the the 1+1s there.
Like the 110 is that size. The fish has seen that. So
they've seen 100,000 110s, and then they got these cool tungsten weight strips too that like they got a little adhesive on them. You can buy. So if you don't like the lead wire and weight the shank of the hook, you can pinpoint it. And what a lot of these guys are doing, like they're masters at their craft, right? So they figure out, like Ben Milligan, for example, like I watched a ton of his videos and he figured out with his jerk bait, the Provoke, exactly how much weight at what depth, at what water temperature and barometric pressure, because it all changes how far down or up in the water column that jerk bait goes. Plus you have line size. Me as an average angler, I didn't think of any of that. You just tie a jerk bait on you and throw it, right? You jerk it.
Throw on some 12-pound tests and
let her go. Let her eat. And
I don't catch crap on a jerk bait. So.
He's a craft at it, and he's figured out all this stuff. And so he knows if he's got a bunch of fish suspended in timber at 20 foot, he knows exactly how much weight and where he has to put that weight on the jerk bait and how long of a cast on what pound test line he needs it to get it down to them and present it perfectly flat. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. And it never, they're that's how much thought they're putting into the process, but they're doing it for, the rest of us work 9 to 5,
so we don't have time to be dialing it in that much.
We don't have 40 hours on the water to figure out how to do a jerk bait. But you can build on it little pieces every time you go out or each season through each season. Like my best jerk bait is dead of summer. I figured that one out. It's sometimes the hottest time of the year. Nobody's throwing a jerk bait. I can go out in certain conditions and smash on a jerk bait, especially around riprap. And then
you'd be surprised too. Floating docks, dead of summer, floating docks. You don't catch anything big. By the way, guys, you don't catch any big ones doing this. I've never caught. I always catch a bunch of. But if you want to just put a smack on them, on those floating docks, you jerk it right now, like right next to the dock,
on the shaded side.
Freaking smoke that thing. It's a blast, but you won't catch. I've never caught a big one doing that. I catch like 100 little, like 12 to 14 inchers, but on Wylie specifically, I've done that, but no big ones, just little guys.
And don't. I mean, unless you got a good lead, don't try something really new in a tournament. Go play your strengths in a tournament day, but all your other fishing days is this time of year is the time to play. And perfect example of this is if you guys watch MFL or Bass. If you guys just watch Dustin Connell and Redcrest.
3 times in a row, dude. That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. His third Redcrest win, second in a row.
Yeah.
And he ran 70 miles up the river to the dam to fish his style. Instead of forcing what everybody else was doing down lake, which he tried, and he failed at it miserably. He went and fished his strengths. He grew up on rivers. He knows rivers like the back of his hand. He's a multi-river, spots, smallmouth, largemouth. And
he fishes the Coosa River a lot.
Right. So he went and played to his strengths. He didn't try something new or something he was mediocre at. And that's how he won Redcrest. He come from a deficit even. So fish your strengths, your confidence, and if you cover enough water, which Michael somehow covers a ginormous amount of water in a kayak.
Amount of water, dude.
Stupid amount of water. I've watched his video. If you cover enough water, you're going to run into one eventually. And doesn't matter how many competitors are on. Do your thing. Go in with your game plan, and you can always, like, at some point in time, there's the point of no return. You can swing for the fences at that time. Especially
8 hours.
Yeah, you got 8 hours.
A long time. That's a long time, guys. It'll go by quick if you start spiraling, but if you just kind of sit back and go, I got 8 hours.
Yep.
You got plenty of time to try some stuff, but you should definitely spend, like, if let's say you don't have any time to pre-fish, you're just showing up to the lake. The first thing I would do is just start fishing fast. Like, just start covering water and try to get a bite. You get a bite. Okay, it's a 12-incher. This is where the 12-incher is. Why is it there? What's it doing?
Yep.
Then keep fishing. Try to do the same thing. Oh, I got another 12-incher. You're like, okay, I keep catching little ones. What do I need to do different? Maybe I need to go further. You know what I mean? Like, trying. Like, I always tell people this. Like, you have to, the fish tell you exactly what the heck's going on if you listen. They do something, you catch, you get to the main lake, you've been catching 12 inches, then boom, you get to the main lake and you catch a 20-incher off this main lake dock. Oh my gosh, there's your hint.
Yep.
And there's been times where I didn't listen to that, and I'm like, no, they're everywhere. And then I go back in the back of the pocket and catch a bunch of 12 inchers. I'm like, oh, what? That was stupid. So just listen, guys. Like, when you catch a big one, especially when you catch a big one, you really have to stop for a second and think, why the heck is that fish right there?
Yep.
Because usually it's crazy. People say that fish are unpredictable, but there's a reason those guys at the very top do it over and over and over again, because they understand how predictable nature really can be. Like, now, obviously, these guys don't win every single event, but there's guys that are always in the top. It's because they understand those things. Like, all these fish, they're here because this, and this. And then they know to look for those things in the future. Those fish are on the channel swing dock. Next year, same thing. They're on a different lake. Okay, there's a channel swing dock right there. Or there's a channel swing lay down. Like, little intricacies like that, they're so important. Yeah. So as soon as you catch, especially when you catch a freaking big one, I want you to stop for a second and be like, why the heck are they there? Why is he there? And if he's just on a random dock and there's 20 more docks in that same area, then you just freaking fish docks. You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes there'll be like something really special. Like, I'll give you one example. I always think about this one. Lake Murray. I got third place there at an SC Bass event. And I noticed, this is crazy. There's Murray, all the docks are post docks. And there's they have these things, I call them baskets. So there'll be a post, and then a post with 2 crossovers. It looks like a box. And you could fish the whole dock and not catch a fish. You throw it in the box, boom, you catch one. And generally it was a good one that day. I caught a lot of 17s and a couple 18s and 119. All of them were in the box. That's what I called it. When I go back in my notes and I read it, and it's in the box. And so you'll notice something like that, they're all on the walkway. Oh, they're all on the last post on the dock. So those things are crazy. They'll tell you a hint. And I'll see this all the time. I see people do this. They catch a fish on the walkway, a big one. And then the next dock over, they just fish the whole dock. They just spent 15 minutes on that dock. Dude, they're on the walkways. Fish the walkway and go. get the heck out of there. Go fish the next walkway and the next walkway. Sometimes you have to take that like risk of like, oh my God, I just found a pattern. And then just, who cares if it's wrong? Go for it. Because if you're right, like
Right.
it could be the smallest thing like that. Like I figured out, it took me about 3 hours that day. And then I was like, oh, they're in the box. So then after that, I didn't fish no other part of the dock. I just fished the box. I pull up, fish that, go. So then now, instead of me covering 3 docks in 15 minutes, I'm covering 6, 7, 8 docks, you know, because I'm just doing it as fast as I can because I'm focused on one little thing. So like, that's why I always tell people, I always try to tell people to do that. And then they're like, I see them do the same thing. Come to the dock, fish the whole freaking dock. Dude, they're not on the whole dock. And even if there is, like, there's always going to be random fish in spots. But I talked to Tim Prosser about this. Like, fish are like, they have like a hive mind. It's weird. Like, they'll be doing one thing, and then a bunch of them will be doing the same exact thing. It's just stupid. It makes, I don't know why that happens, but that's why, like, people find patterns and win big tournaments doing it because fish are like, they do that.
You know, another lake that's got the box, Sandy Cooper.
Sandy Cooper?
Last year when I went down to Sandy Cooper, it was the same thing. You went to a dock that didn't have the X, no bites. The very next dock that had the X,
they were in there.
They were in there. And I lost a monster. I lost a monster on a Magnum shaky head. Magnum. The biggest one you can buy.
You skipping under there?
Uh-huh.
A Magnum shaky head. I would have never thought to do that.
Uh-huh. And it was crazy. So you would literally go in the top of the X, bottom of the V, go right in that window, and it would go in and it would swing down, and you'd have to bring them up out over it.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing. It's so scary.
Yeah, but that's where they were, and they were only biting if you hit them on the head, and you had to hit them on the head, and that was to hit them in the head. You had to go through the V at the top of the X.
And don't be scared to do that, guys. If you like, don't be scared to do that. Like sometimes, like you have to say, it's gonna be real hard to get a fish out of there, but you just gotta say, as long as I can hook that fish, then I'll try and figure out how to get him out of there later. You know, make a plan for yourself. Okay, I get the fish. What am I gonna do if I catch a big one right here? But like at the same time, don't be scared to put yourself in a bad position. If you could get that bite, man, get the freaking bite and then figure it out as it goes.
So, as a kayak angler, we're at an advantage because you're like, you can reach in under the dock. You're there. Yeah. But what I was doing is I would hold the tension, and then they would, instead of dogging down, they would come up, and when their mouth come out of the water, you just reel and you skate them through it. If they get back down after that, that's okay. Let them drag you across the lake, but just getting them over that X first. The one I lost, there was no getting him to the top. She wanted down, and she dragged me under the dock, and I actually got really lucky. One of my rods got hung on the pillar, and I didn't realize it while I was fighting her, and I went out to try to net her because they always come up to shake the jig. I was like, I'm going to try to get you on the second chance, but she was too far away. And I went to reach around for that rod, and it wasn't there. And I look back at the dock, and it's just one eye's hanging on the rail, and it's just sitting there like that. And I just pedaled over there and grabbed it. But yeah, you got to put yourself in some tight spots sometimes to get the fish.
You got to do it, guys. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Even the Abide Fishing guy, if you watch some of his videos, he's in the trees, like everything's disarray. He got that one. So
did you see what he caught at Joe Cassie?
No, I haven't watched that video yet.
Bro, I don't know when he hasn't posted a video, but I saw the tournament results. He caught a 24 inch rod.
They got him.
It was thick too, dude. Big, thick pre-spawn, and I'm like, that's got to be 10 pounds, and he said it was only 8. Let me see that. I hope he's okay with me showing the picture, but look at this stupid thing. It's huge, bro. It's ridiculous. There's it on the board. You can see it.
Oh yeah, I believe he put that picture.
Dude, it's so round. I was like, that's a 10-pounder, dude, but it's not. It's only 8. That's wild, man.
You give that lake a couple more years, I bet you it'll fish like Clear Lake.
It's stupid, dude. They get so big on those herrings, and they have so much things to eat there. herring,
trout
trout,
eaters. That's what I'm
bluegill.
saying.
There's also shad in there. Those fish just eat, man, and it's stupid deep and clear, and there's so much going on there.
Yeah. Now that I got the boat, I'm gonna go fish that lake a little bit more. It's tough for me in a kayak without a motor pedaling because
when it gets windy out there.
Yeah, the wind for one, and then two, some of the best fishing's kind of far from the furthest north boat ramp, you know.
And surprisingly, that lake does not get a lot of pressure. It really
not
does.
For bass.
No,
it gets a tremendous amount of pressure for trout.
Yeah, I always see people fishing for trout there. Big brown trout.
Yep.
Huge trout.
But they all right, well, we're going on 9. I got to go to work in the morning.
Same, dude. Thanks for running the show, man. I'm sure you killed it before I even got on here. I appreciate you doing that for me.
Yeah, no worries. We all run late, and but yeah, no, I managed to get everything up and going, so it should post fine. And I hope everybody, if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. You got the group chats, you got tournament director's number on Tourney X. Plus, you can always hit up.
You can PM me. I don't mind.
So, and if we don't know the answer, we're going to reach out to him and get you the answer. So
absolutely.
Perfect. Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody that logged in and gave chats and everything, and have a good night.
All right. Have a good night, man. Peace out.
Peace out.